Okay, I'm back. Sorry for the abrupt ending there. Just had to go take care of my dog. So, I'm gonna quick save that. But, before I went on my little ramble there, the thing that kind of throws me off from this generation of consoles and a lot of like anime stuff too, which I know a lot of people really enjoy, is it just near the end of the Xbox 360, games looked, and I still think games from that time look really good. And it wasn't just like the graphics or the mechanic functions of those. It was the fact that most games were just allowing you to be a bad guy, as well as making compelling reasons for you to be a bad guy. And the thing that I think Wreck-It Ralph is a great Disney movie that more people I think should watch, captured so well about the magic of video games was just because you're playing as a bad guy doesn't mean you are a bad guy. Like, hey, it's a video game. Just because I play games where I shoot bugs doesn't make me a bad person. And that's the idea, is you can't change who you are, so you should be happy being who you are. It's a very positive and uplifting message, and Disney would never make a movie like that nowadays because they just have too many monetary incentives not to, and it would be, 100% like against their current, political agenda or whatever the fuck. And it's like, is that really what matters in a work of entertainment compared to just having fun? Making everybody stoop to your level and believe the same nonsense you do? Does that sound fun? Or does it just not sound very comfortable? Because that doesn't sound very comfortable. That sounds really stressful, that sounds really irritating. And it sounds more like a child throwing a tantrum, desperately craving attention that they never got, when they really should just, maybe instead of trying to sink everyone and everything to their level, try to do the best they can be. Do the best you can. Do something that really says you. And that's what I liked about so much of that too. It's very positive, uplifting stuff. Like Spec Ops: The Line, the point of that game wasn't just to poke at Call of Duty and Gears of War for being, for trivializing war and things like that. Because the thing about war is, while games can be a war can never be a game. And we didn't know it, but until they took them away, we didn't realize that world peace looked like shooting each other in a video game. Because it brought so many people together. It just worked. It made them have fun again. Because you didn't have to, resort to terrible, heinous shit in the real world to have some fun. It's all fake. That's what these games are. They're just pieces of code. They're entertainment. The thing was, we weren't really doing anything special or that interesting. It's just, I think now, especially with how little standards these companies nowadays are like trying to make you have, it's really disheartening to see, because so many people like myself kind of go back to these games because these new ones just really don't want me there. Like, beforehand, they were very, very uplifting, very positive to everyone. Everybody was welcome. Jump in was the tag of Xbox 360. Hey, jump in, make some friends, play games with each other online. Games that you could find nowhere else. Experiences that I'll remember probably till the end of my life. of all the cool shit that I said and did in those games, where near the end of the generation especially, they were pushing technology and other stuff to their absolute maximum. That's why the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 stood out, is they had heart. The people who made them cared about what they were doing. They knew what they were doing was kind of dumb, but instead of just, chastising and abusing it and all this other nonsense, analyzing it into hell and back, because the thing about most plans is, you'll find this out in the Army, most plans go out the fucking window as soon as the, shit hits the fan. New plan comes up because they're like, I don't think it'll work, and then it turns out to be totally successful, whatever the fuck they were doing in practice, and they're like, okay, now we'll do that. Companies don't have that, that rational voice in their ear anymore that seems, somewhat level-headed or calm to say, yeah, maybe sticking only to what you think will happen and just gambling everything on the, a handful of magic beans isn't exactly a great financial plan. It's good ideology, I guess, if you're like one of the very few people who care about whatever the hell it is they make. But that's a niche within a niche within a niche. How many niches do you need to delve into before it just seems absurd? And that's the strategy of most companies. Just delve into about 17 niches in niches, and then market to those people exclusively at the direct expense of pretty much anyone else, including the people who you are specifically trying to target. The end of the Xbox 360 had so many games that I remember for how they kind of left an impact on me. Years after I played a game like Portal 2, I think about how Gladys was once a person who was made into this monster, to this hanging thing on a ceiling. Once a person, deformed, mutilated against her will, turned into a slave for a company. I think of Spec Ops: The Line and the terrible decisions and poor judgment calls I made, knowing full well that none of it was really my mission. I wasn't supposed to be here, and I was feeding into the delusions of an insane man. I remember that more than almost any big-name game now. It's not for a lack of trying, it's just you need a hook, like a good story needs a good conflict. There's no conflict in all of these games. I don't feel anything. Nothing ever changes. Nothing matters. Nothing's accomplished. You can do that well in order to make a sense of tension or fright, but too many games abandoned that early kind of horror hook that they had, like Black Ops 3 I really like, or The Division, or Battlefield 3 and 4, because often your goals aren't clear, and that's the intended effect, where in so many other games you could rely upon your goals being clear and it mattering in the end. Like in here, it's pretty obvious what my goal is. Kill the giant bugs, save these dudes, conquer this planet. Okay, cool. But in Black Ops 3, you'd just be placed in there, and there'd be a shitload of weird, hallucinogenic, surreal stuff that it would happen. And unless you're examining the footage, watching it back, or fucking around with the computers, and literally delving into game files, you wouldn't really know. Oh, damn. I think General Hauser was pretty happy.
I was a little hard on you at your moment of victory. It's only because I expect the best. Now go have some fun. That's an order. Oh, and find
Yeah. But yeah, stories like A Story About My Uncle or Call of Juarez Gunslinger, where it's a story about a man recounting and embellishing on his fame in the Wild West as a bounty hunter, where it changes and constantly flip-flops. The animation, graphics, and style are also really good, which helps, but it isn't the only thing I care about. I care about this person because he is the last of a dying Wild West, and he's out for one person who he is giving an ultimatum to kill or to be at peace knowing that he's become the better man. It's very, very stereotypical stuff, but it's the journey that mattered a lot. Also, that game Journey was pretty fucking good too. Like that one on the PlayStation 3 where you're playing as these, like, I don't know, ghosts with cloaks. And it's what Destiny and games like that, Overwatch and The Division and so many others tried to implement but just didn't get right. They're games where you shoot each other. Journey is an abstract Zen game where there's no shooting. You just go from place to place finding interesting stuff. It's not really clear as to what you're doing and why. You just do that. That works because you're invested in a strange adventure that you're sharing with other people without the ability to communicate to them. And you're just exploring the world. It's totally dynamic. The events that happen are, often random or whatever, and it's just kind of esoteric in that way. And there's a mystery and an intrigue and, urban legends and stuff that add to the mystique of that. So when all of these new games nowadays don't care about anything other than the immediate present, it leaves them all in a state of purgatory, never really being good or, bad, just existing, fighting in a war without end, as Metal Gear Solid 5 put it. And I think that whole game was very indicative of what was to come. We went from duty, honor, the morality of soldiers, to being the bad guys, to being better off dead, because to continue would have been hell on earth, and it was. They knew that, and they still kept going until the people who made it themselves and the various pieces of those games that once made them what they are, and the people who made them what they are, were tossed out like trash, all in the name of making more money. I don't care at the end of the day how you make your game, as long as I don't pay the consequences for your fuck up. And I think that's the rule that most people should live by too, if they do live by it, and a lot of people do. They don't really know how to visualize it. I shouldn't be punished for someone else's mistakes, and this idea, this attitude that's been taken ever since the start of the Xbox One journey is why so many people always complained and bitched and whined. It's like, people like these companies and these games, but there was never a moment where they could love it. Or if there were moments, they were so brief and far and few between, simply because having fun wasn't the process or the thought behind it. Having a fun game to make money was not the point. Skipping the middleman that they saw as nothing more than a barrier to making money was the point. Just make money. That's smart business, to give people absolutely nothing in exchange for the happy thoughts, the ideas, the nostalgia. But that's not what makes a game fun. In fact, quite the opposite. It's an incredibly dehumanizing, depressing, and tokenizing experience that makes you feel like nothing more than nothing more than a fucking hollow waste of time. Wasting their time on hollow, shitty-ass games. So, what can you do other than just fucking listen to me? Be excellent to each other and play some fucking good shit. Anyway, this is what happens when I fucking stay up too late playing Starship Troopers. Hope you enjoy it. I'll do another part soon. Take care.